My name is Ramik, and this is my presentation on my community. Since I'm not a teacher, I am doing it on the actual Duval County School District and the Duval County community at large. Um, as far as the customs and traditions here in Jacksonville, Florida, it's what we call a southern town. We're located in North Florida, South Georgia. Most of the people here we like to call church-going Southern folk, and this is an all-around town. It is a small town feel, but they are like a metropolis town. As far as politics in Jacksonville, that is pretty much the mainstay. It has the biggest impact on race, religion, social class structure. Um, the political structure here is about 50-50, you might as well say, with the Democratic Party edging out the Republican Party. Surprisingly, there is a good amount of people that are not affiliated at all with parties, which when I was growing up here, that wasn't always the case. Generally, everyone you spoke to was either Democratic or Republican. Independent, maybe, but that percentage again is still very small. But the over the years, the no party affiliation has gone up considerably. Most policy changes, just like in any most southern town, is resistant. Most policies have to go through a lot of hoops to get changed, and that's because the politics here are, do as I say. Whenever they do something, is basically because I said so, and that's the type of politics sometimes that dominates here in our community. As far as the educational level here, 87% are high school graduates or higher. 25% have a bachelor's or higher. That's about it. Um, no other, as far as the English language, it is the most dominant, and there's only about 12% any other language. And I would say most of that 12%, or about half of it, is the Latin language or Spanish. The median age here in Duval County is 35 years old. We have, according to the statistics, per capita, the largest amount of retired veterans in the state of Florida are in Jacksonville, Florida. That statistic is, I think, for the whole state, it's 13%, and we're right there. No, the whole state is about 14%, and we're over that. 23% are under the age of 18. The total student enrollment here, and that's high school, middle school, elementary, is 124,000 students. Over half of the people that live here in Duval County are female. And of course, you can draw your conclusion that the remaining percentage is male. As far as the employment, what dominates most are trade, transportation, because we do have the port here in Jacksonville, and we do have the longshoremen, and also we have the biggest utility place here, which is JEA, and that is the biggest percentage of hiring as far as how they're employed. As far as financial activities, we're looking at maybe we have a Merrill Lynch, Bank of America here, and I would say between them and Citigroup and Washington Mutual, that's your 11%. As far as professional and business services, that is also the other part of, if it's not financial, then it's the other portion of the business services with those three companies that I did name. And pretty much, if you're not meeting someone that works for one of the financial firms or at the port, you're speaking to a teacher or someone that works at one of the hospitals, local hospitals here. Baptist Hospital has the biggest facility because it has about 3 or 4 campuses. And then there's Memorial Hospital, and then there's St. Vincent's and St. Luke's, and Shands, which is our trauma center, our biggest trauma center. So that is basically where your employment lies. We are the 7th most populous county in the state of Florida, which is pretty high. As far as the ethnicity makeup in the Duval County school system, it's predominantly African American with a strong lead of whites, and the Hispanic community has gone up over the last, I would say, 10 years. It has not always been 9%. Actually, it was more towards what the Asian percentage was, which is 4. However, we have had a huge influx of the Hispanic community here in Duval County, and that has the makeup of increasing also the early percentage of a language other than English. So that is in line with that. As far as what has been the most biggest thing currently here, there was a recent riot at one of our beaches, local beaches here, that created a great deal of not only just racial tension but social economic tensions here down at the beach, at that particular beach. It is a place where a lot of families go, and color or race was not necessarily an issue. However, it was made somewhat of an issue because of the individuals that were involved, and that's not very uncommon here. I mean, in a lot of the southern places, there is always a disparity as far as when something happens that it is along racial lines. And a lot of the schools that are located in the more urban areas lack the resources, and they have schools that are failing. And what I mean is, they grade the schools on a scale from A being the best school to F being the worst school. Most of the F schools lie in the urban areas, so that is one of the major concerns here in Duval County. As far as communication channels, I guess I'm a bit of an old school person. Um, I watch the news or do the internet. However, here in Duval County, the biggest thing is Twitter, Facebook, and of course the internet. And those are the most popular forms of communication. We do have 3 major TV stations. We have 6 radio stations, and we have one major newspaper, which has fallen in popularity over the years due to some things that they report in the newspaper, as well as just the generations have gotten younger, and so they tend to lean towards news over the internet or on the radio or whatever they have saved in their Android phones as far as communication is concerned. Um, as far as a language dominance, English is still it here in Duval County, and it's not very much an issue so much. It's quite minimal here as far as a language barrier. Um, as far as I can see and I can tell, most news or any type of information is via the internet or the radio, pretty much, because a lot of people spend a lot of time, because Jacksonville is a very spread out place. Most people have time to listen to the radio, talk radio, um, radio in general, to get their information for local news as well as news across the nation. Don't didn't see many special interest groups here in the Duval County area. One of the special interest groups is the St. Johns River uh, group, which is called the River Keepers, and is concerned really heavily about the St. John River's future as far as its role in our water supply. And in recent years, it has um, been polluted, so there's a big concern about it getting into our drinking water supply. So that's a big push for that. Um, as far as what has been done, as far as with Duval County Schools, they are just now implementing the Common Core standards, which is a big deal here. Some of the groups that we do have here are Kiwanis, Lions Club, Boys and Girls Club, of course the Boys and Girls Scouts of America. We do have various Masonic lodges, and they are along racial lines, meaning there are lodges that are African American, and there are lodges that are predominantly white. There are more predominantly white lodges here, like elks and moose and other Masonic lodges, versus the African American lodges, where there are about three as far as grand lodges or affiliations. They have various smaller lodges, but the bigger lodges are only about three or four of them here locally. Um, as far as opposition here, the teachers union is always in direct opposition to the Duval County School Board. They have more special interests than anyone here. I would say their biggest push and biggest concern is always money and preserving more of the upper level positions, like the administrative level positions, since the new um, superintendent has come in. He's eliminated a lot of those positions, so there is some tension there. And we have a few representatives, and I've mentioned a couple of them that are predominantly some of the ones that are pretty much always on our local news. You have Andrew Crenshaw or Kareem Brown, and our Mayor Alvin Brown. As far as who their target market is or target group, it's all generally the economically distressed or poor areas or urban areas, and military, because we do have a couple of military bases here. So that's basically who they target as far as who they want to represent most. And the influence here in the community is always some type of either social or political status. As far as some of the characteristics for one of our local community leaders, Mayor Alvin Brown is definitely a very involved mayor. He can be found just about at any social event or civic event. He's very approachable, a likable official, and I like the fact that he challenges his own officials to be upfront and honest and truthful with information and letting the community in on anything and everything that's going on. Now, as far as the economic conditions here, Duval County has a total revenue of over $5 billion, and their debt is close to $4 million. So it's almost a wash, which is almost a balanced budget. We don't have a whole lot of natural resources that we use here. We do have quite a few highways. Our unemployment rate is 8%, which is up. It normally hovers around the 6 or 7% mark. And also the state and local tax, as far as taxes go, a lot of it goes to the schools. And then they have, of course, special district taxes. And most of the property value here is about roughly $200,000 median. Now, as far as political structure, the school board, I think, is one of the biggest structures here that has its own agendas. They pass what they want to pass, even though they may say that they're going to do one thing, they tend to do other things. So they're always in direct opposition to the teachers as well as the community itself. As far as the property tax is concerned, they are basically at a loss with the property tax. They spend about $5 billion as far as school buildings, and out of that big budget, 61% of the budget does go to the general fund, and within that general fund, 35% of that general fund is instruction, which is the teachers and their salaries. And of course, next to the state and nationally, Duval County, and the percentages as far as their political structures, pretty much a drop in the bucket. We do have a huge disparaging number of males that are incarcerated here from Jacksonville area, and we also have a lack of resources in the urban areas that I feel causes the disparity. And some of the attitudes here are predominantly that white schools are favored for funding over African American or urban schools, which is not proven, but it's just something that has always been rumored, or just someone always says that that's what's going on. And this concludes my community. Thank you very much.